Welcome back to Psycho Turtle Collectibles Gym Challenge number 6. Our final round of Swiss coming out off stream. I had some pizza. And now we're back for game number 1. Sean Pinto, Alejandro Jimenez. Round 5 of Swiss. Sean has Heatran, Roaring Moon, Fluttermane, Amoonguss, Iron Hands, Landorus, Therian. Alejandro, Rillaboom, Hisui and Arcanine, Dondozo and Tatsugiri, Curly Tatsugiri, King Gambit, and Ogerpon with the Wellspring Mask. A couple of Pokemon we haven't seen a whole lot of. Roaring Moon, obviously a great Pokemon. This one, no Tailwind on this Roaring Moon. It's a little bit more offensive. Acrobatics knockoff, Dragon Dance Protect. And on Alejandro's side, we have that Dondozo Tatsugiri that we are all so familiar with. See if Alejandro goes for it in this matchup. We'll see. I honestly don't know if the matchup suits it perfectly or not. And if not, a bunch of good Pokemon to bring in instead. And away we go. Final round of Swiss. Both these players at 3-1. A win would guarantee their way into top cut, that top 8. A loss might knock them out. It also might not. Will be the Arcanine Dondozo lead from Alejandro, the Iron Hands Heatran lead on the other side. Sean with the Iron Hands, standard Iron Hands set. Heatran with the Heat Wave, Earth Power, Substitute, Protect. Bit more defensive, has a couple more options on that side. The Arcanine switching out. Tatsugiri will come in, so we will get that Dondozo raid boss coming in now. There we go, the Commander bonus coming through. The ×2 to every one of Dondozo's stats. And this is when the battle truly begins. How much can this Dondozo do to Sean's team before Sean is able to whittle down the Dondozo? See the Terrastal as well immediately onto the Iron Hands. It'll be Terra Water Iron Hands. Try to prevent it from taking too much damage from Dondozo's attacks. I believe it's pretty good against everything Dondozo can do. Heatran will protect. Wait out a little bit of time. Dondozo will Wave Crash into the Protect. So no damage there from the Dondozo this turn. Alejandro doesn't get anything done. Wild Charge at -1 does solid chunk. A solid chunk to a good Dondozo, but not going to get anywhere near knocking it out. This Dondozo is Rock Slide, Order Up, Wave Crash, Rest. So it does have the opportunity to heal up, but only if it goes to sleep for 3 turns. It doesn't have Sleep Talk, it doesn't have Lumberry or Chesto Berry. No way to wake itself up. The Terrastal now on Alejandro's side. That will bring in the Terra Dragon Dondozo. Go along with that Order Up. Slightly different weaknesses and resistances now. The Order Up is what comes out. Turn that +2 to a +3 in attack. Not very much damage to the Heatran. Does get that attack bonus. Heatran will Substitute. Gives itself an extra hit for free. And Iron Hands will Wild Charge once again. That does nothing. Absolutely nothing from there. Not a whole lot that Iron Hands is threatening this Dondozo with right now, but there's not a whole lot that the Dondozo is threatening Iron Hands with, so may try to stay in this ceasefire or make a big read to switch out. This Heatran is a bit of a threat, as it will just keep throwing out these Earth Powers, most likely. Fluttermane will come in. Dondozo Rock Slides, misses Heatran, does very good damage to Fluttermane, does not knock it out. Earth Power comes out. Good damage onto the Dondozo. Nowhere near KO damage, but good damage. And that Fluttermane, it should... Yeah, there's no way Fluttermane gets outsped by Dondozo. No, it does not. So even Dondozo with the Commander bonus does not outspeed the Fluttermane. So Fluttermane's Dazzling Gleam obviously does not hit Tatsugiri, but finishes off the Dondozo cleanly. And there it goes, the Terastal. Oh, he's so sad. Oh, that made me kind of sad. Heatran's Earth Power goes into the Tatsugiri. Do some decent damage. Okay damage. And hiding back behind that Substitute. Substitute with the leftovers. Heatran has had an interesting time lately, as it has not been able to go Assault Vest because of how common Iron Hands and Rillaboom are. Just much better Assault Vest users. Hey, there's the other Assault Vest user that we haven't seen this game yet. And Heatran was a great Assault Vest user in Regulation D, but now is a little outclassed, has gone Life Orb, has gone Leftovers. We've seen both of those today. The Leftovers with the Substitutes, an interesting adaptation to try to keep it very quietly strong in the background. Heatran does have the opportunity to click Heat Wave here and do some real damage. The Tatsugiri is Bright Powder, not Choice Scarf, but is still decently fast, as is. Fluttermane will retreat. It is Choice Specs, so locked into Dazzling Gleam, don't necessarily want to stick around with that. Landorus switching in now, going to drop the attack of the Tatsugiri and the Rillaboom. Heatran protects, keeps it safe from a potential Rillaboom high horsepower, or a combo to go with a Tatsugiri move. Will be Grassy Glide into Landorus, just a small chunk of damage there. Will be Muddy Water, obviously blocked by the Heatran. Does connect onto the Landorus, and finishes out the Landorus, so Landorus knocked out that turn while Heatran was protecting. Now Heatran, unable to protect, could be double targeted down here by a simple high horsepower plus Muddy Water. But now Iron Hands comes in, and it'll at least threaten a Fake Out onto one of these Pokemon, which will give Heatran all the room in the world to at least launch out a Heat Wave if it wants to. Rillaboom will switch out to try to avoid that. See the last Pokemon here for Alejandro? Oh no, it's Arcanine. We saw that earlier. We'll drop the Iron Hands attack once again. Tatsugiri will protect, so any damage will go right into this Arcanine. A little bit of damage from the Fake Out there. And the Heat Wave, protected by the Tatsugiri, will connect onto the Arcanine and not do very much damage. Earth Power is still available though. Alejandro is still in a situation where you either have to switch out, and it's still kind of a 50-50 read on whether your Pokemon in that slot gets hit really hard by Heatran or not. And Heatran is healed up nearly to full out of the leftovers. It got hit kind of hard, but still feeling fine at this point. Arcanine is Choice Scarf, so it'll be the fastest thing on the field, but what can it really threaten? Doesn't do a ton of damage to Iron Hands, and Heatran's behind a Substitute. So in any case, Heatran should have the opportunity to get something out of this. But that's pending the Rillaboom potentially switching back in. It will be the Arcanine switching out again. Switching in and out from Alejandro to try to maintain the health of these Pokemon. Rillaboom back in. Muddy Water should break the Substitute finally onto Heatran. Quick damage, and there it goes. Substitute does fade. Heatran now out for real. Uses the Earth Power into the Rillaboom. A good switch from Alejandro. Drops the special defense, but shouldn't be too important. Wild Charge onto the Tatsugiri, does about half of its remaining health. Another Wild Charge should take it down, pending some grassy terrain healing. Could make it close. Now Sean having to play a little bit more carefully now. Both these Pokemon showing ground-type moves. The Terastal has already been used on the Iron Hands. 2 turns of grassy terrain still remaining. Rillaboom should not actually be the fastest thing here. I think the fastest... It's close. The fastest one is close. Could be any of them. This could be important intel for the future is... Close one. High horsepower Rillaboom is the fastest, and it'll knock out, ring the bell, knocks out Heatran in one shot. Muddy Water into the Iron Hands. Does connect, does some okay damage. Drops the accuracy. That could be big for the later stages of this battle. Drain Punch connects onto Rillaboom. Doesn't do a whole lot, and that also means that the Iron Hands, I believe, is now unable to switch out and reset its accuracy or its attack. It's still at -1 attack and now -1 accuracy, which could be a problem for it in these later stages of the battle. Fluttermane coming back out. Hit those choice specs. One turn of grassy terrain left. That means the Grassy Glide can come out, and Sean doesn't want to play out the rest of this one, as we hold for dramatic effect. Sean does not want to play the rest of this one. Alejandro will win game number 1 in this final round of Swiss. A well-played game there by Alejandro. Dondozo took a lot of damage early on, but critically able to take down the most threatening Pokemon on the other side, and crucially had a couple of good reads in a row. If Sean was able to read either of the switches, either Rillaboom into Arcanine or Arcanine back into Rillaboom, and call it out with a move in response, this battle could have been very different, but it was not. That's the story of it. See if either of them decides to switch things up. In the last one, Alejandro led with Dondozo and Arcanine to try to get a -1 attack down, while also being able to switch in the commander in the next turn at the effective start of the first turn. It's a nice combo to be able to get done. In any case, this is round number 5 of Swiss. Both these players at 3-1. Moving to 4-1 would guarantee them into Top Cut, guarantee them that CP. 3-2 puts them on the bubble for Top Cut. It would depend on all the tiebreakers. Alejandro taking his time, now is locked in. And game number 2 underway. I like that King Gambit picture. It's a nice one. Ready. Alejandro will lead with the Rillaboom and the Dondozo this time. It'll set up the grassy terrain for that sustained healing. On the other side, it's Fluttermane, Iron Hands. So Iron Hands not at the -1 this time. Dondozo potentially in a little bit of danger to start this one out on a couple of fronts. Fluttermane could be in danger of a Grassy Glide early on, and Sean taking no time to make his decisions on this pick. The Rillaboom coming out. Tatsugiri will switch in, so Dondozo will start the commander right now. Committing to the commander move on turn 1 as before. But Iron Hands and Fluttermane are both very threatening right now. And whether or not he decides to Terrastalize, Sean decides to Terrastalize first. He's going to Terrastalize Terra Fairy, the Fluttermane, to boost those Fairy-type moves to ridiculous levels. Iron Hands will Fake Out. Ooh, into the Rillaboom slot, so doesn't actually do anything. And the Moonblast now does a little under half of the HP there from Dondozo. It'll Wave Crash in return, and that will absolutely knock out the Fluttermane. There's the Terrastal used very early for Sean in game number 2. And Dondozo will take a bunch of damage in return, probably in range of 1 Wild Charge, I would imagine. Roaring Moon comes in now. First time we're seeing Roaring Moon today. First time we're seeing it on Sean's team. Protosynthesis, the booster energy boosts its attack. Will be very high damage on that side. And now, question is, what do you do now about this Dondozo? It's definitely going to take, it takes a lot of damage from Wild Charge. It'll take a lot of damage from something Roaring Moon can do. Roaring Moon can't terrestrialize into the flying type now. Its only same type attack bonus is going to be knockoff for the rest of this battle. Knockoff against Dondozo, it's not useless. It takes away its covert cloak, but not all that important in the grand scheme of things. Switch out on the switch in from Roaring Moon. It's going to go right into the Heat Ran. Wave Crash nearly knocks out Iron Hands in one hit. Tons of damage there. The Drain Punch in return will finish off the Dondozo. Will heal up the Iron Hands just a little bit. And now puts us in a pretty similar situation as the last game, where we have Rillaboom and potentially Arcanine. We don't know for sure that it's an Arcanine in the back, but potentially Rillaboom and Arcanine sitting alongside a Tatsugiri. Rillaboom comes back in. A high horsepower would, of course, knock out the Heat Ran, and Rillaboom would be the fastest thing. First one able to do that. That is a pretty obvious read. Iron Hands will switch out. Will be the Roaring Moon coming back in again. Has not actually done anything yet. Heat Ran protects. Now, high horsepower into that Heat Ran. Will be protected. And Tatsugiri with the Draco Meteor read into the Roaring Moon. One-hit knockout. Great decision there from Alejandro. That'll force out the Iron Hands as the last one. Roaring Moon doing literally nothing in this battle. A great job by Alejandro to play around that. And now, a couple of choices Alejandro is allowed to make here. Or excuse me, that Alejandro is allowed to make, but also Sean has pretty limited options here. Probably has to fake out into the Rillaboom and either get a substitute up or just hit. Gonna be Tatsugiri switching out here. Going to be able to get another big Draco Meteor out if it wants to. Arcanine comes in, drops the attack with the Iron Hands. High horsepower comes out first, and Heat Ran will drop. No fake out from the Iron Hands. It'll Drain Punch instead, and that Drain Punch will not do anywhere near enough damage. It's just a lone Iron Hands against a Rillaboom and an Arcanine here, and that Iron Hands at -1. Arcanine could potentially cycle out to make this even harder, but I don't think we're going to be seeing that. I think that we are going to get the end of the battle. Alejandro with a clean 2-0 over Sean. It's a great battle there, showing off, continuing to show off the power of the Dondozo, and it wasn't even the Dondozo primarily that was doing a lot of the damage there. It's just Dondozo was able to break a huge hole in an opposing team and really able to make the battle rotate around it towards the beginning, making Rillaboom and Arcanine, I mean, they were pretty hard to touch. Heat Ran had options against them, but Heat Ran just wasn't able to land the hits and was a little too slow to get anything done. So that'll be it for the Swiss stage here of this tournament. We are going to end up in top cut. Alejandro moves to 4-1, Sean to 3-2. And yeah, we're going to move to top cut. First, Miguel is going to show us the new move that he learned, Dragon Darts. We'll see you at top cut.